Mentally abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them, adverse childhood experiences, now adverse childhood experiences, mentally abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them.
Adverse childhood experiences. We got the unpredictable stresses that children go through, like losing mommy or daddy, or watching them go to jail, forced to grow up because they've been touched down there. They even see parents depressed with no time to spare. This is why the kids are lonely, traumatized. That's why ACEs matter.
So have you heard about these things called ACEs?
I mean, I think I heard of them, something about adverse childhood experiences. Why you ask me that?
Yeah, that is what ACEs stands for. And I was reading this research from the CDC. And like you said, adverse childhood experiences, you basically take these 10 questions and it's going to give you a score 0 through 10. What was fascinating about this research was they said if you score a 5 or more, they be saying you're a risk to society.
So what you're saying is both me and my sons are a risk to society? They build prisons in preparation for people with these untreated ACEs, don't they?
Yeah, basically. Unless, of course, they go untreated and you catch them early. But that ain't it. You know what else the CDC said?
What?
The CDC said that diabetes, obesity, cancer, heart disease, and stroke are all associated with these things called adverse childhood experiences, a.k.a. ACEs.
Stop. So what you're saying is if the streets don't kill me, the diseases resulting from these ACEs will? The diseases resulting from these ACEs will? What about alcoholism? I got a couple of people that's been messed up on alcoholism in my family. A couple of them done died.
That's in there too, but I'm just talking about the top 5. We ain't even got to the tip of the iceberg. Check this out. You know what else they said?
What?
They said 1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
1 in every 6 people have at least a score of 4 or higher.
So what you're saying is at least one person on this call right now should have been incarcerated or at risk for early death because of these untreated ACEs?
Basically.
Oop, oop, oop. We back in there. Hey, everybody. It's Shamara Moore, facilitator of learning for high school English, also a reacher for acesmatter.org. Keel?
My mic was muted.
Introduce yourself, crazy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I can't hear you.
Introduce yourself. Say your name. Well, that is Shaquille, also known as Kale. I'll introduce him. He is also happens to be my son, but he will be a subject matter expert today with his degree in psychology. And I'm a lived experience survivor, and I'll be introducing you to another lived experience survivor a little later on. But we are reachers and contributing show hosts for Aces Matter Live. We are a mother and son team. And on the last Sunday of each month this fall, we will be facilitating a 60-minute educational conversation about healing and just preventing adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs. It's real stuff that we can learn about so that our kids have a better chance at childhood. Well, looks like Kamo might be having some technical difficulties. Can you hear me now, son?
I can hear you now. I'm here now.
All right. So today's show, thank you so much to anyone and everyone who is logged on. Even if just one person hears this, it's a great thing to do because it will help you. You can help others. You can tell others about what you're finding out about today. Today's show might be triggering to some, so just feel free to log off or mute if you are having any kind of feelings. You can feel what you feel, and it's okay to have those feelings. But we're going to be talking about what happens when children are exposed to sex early, and I call it like this theory of pre-sex trauma. Shaquille, what can you tell us about it?
Okay, so we got some statistics on that. Every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted, and every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. That's crazy. Child sex abuse victims have twice the risk of intimate partner violence.
Connections.
ACEs hurt the workforce with depression and its work-related outcomes, absenteeism, reduced productivity, and medical expenses are estimated to cost as much as $44 billion per year.
Now, with those statistics in mind, I want to introduce our guest, who is a lived experience survivor. She's also like my favorite artist that people don't always know. Like, oh my goodness. You may have heard of her, you may not. Hopefully tonight you can get up on what's really real out here in these streets. Her name is Princess Shaw. I'll let her tell you her go to, but her name is Princess Shaw. And we're just going to get some of her thoughts and opinions on this Aces Matter thing and see what her story is. So in a very few minutes, the next person you see will be the beautiful, incomparable Princess Shaw.
Growing up, I was always taught to hide my emotions. If I cried, I was weak. So as time went on, I learned to hide them, faking through my life. I always say I was damned from birth. Why do I say this? Because as a child, I only knew pain, torture, and despair. I was always jumpy. I never knew when the next blow was coming, but knew that it was. See, the physical abuse was one thing. The sexual abuse was a whole nother story. You see, I learned what sex was at an early age. No child should know about penetration or oral sex ever.
Here she is. Thank you so much, Princess Shaw. I don't know if you want me to call you Miss Shaw or Princess, but tell us a little bit about who you are today.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, today I am a well-rounded, working, healing, I say peaceful, filled with self-love, filled that void inside of myself, beautiful Black woman. That's who I am today. Like, I'm blessed beyond measures. And I'm sorry I'm squinting. Light is in my face, and I can't really see, but I say I have arrived. I'll say that.
That is just amazing to hear with what I know of your music and your story. It's amazing to hear you describe yourself that way. And I would just like to let you know that we are bestowing on you the title of a zip code hero.
Aww.
Because for whatever zip code you are repping, whether it's the one from your childhood or the one where you are living in today, for you to show that vulnerability and tell your story the way that you did in the amazing Netflix show presenting Princess Shaw, you are repping for people who have no voice. So you are a hero from your zip code. So if you could just tell us what zip code you are repping so that everybody in that zip code can understand that you are their voice tonight.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I appreciate the title for the offering. And I'm from Chicago, so it's 60609, and then I moved to Louisiana, so I'm repping both 70118. I'm repping both cities, both states.
All right, Chi-Town. I'm sorry, K-Mo. I just been talking and I haven't let you talk. You can say if you want to say something to Miss Shaw, you can say something. But I'm telling you,
nice to meet you. It's like I'm meeting a movie star.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? I'm on my own journey, and like I saw a lot of like what I got going on, or like I saw a lot of myself and what I'm preparing to go through, you know what I'm saying, and what you were able to rise through, you know what I'm saying, and like I received power from that, you know what I'm saying. So big kudos, like I'm proud of you, I'm happy for you, and keep pushing.
Well, thank you. I think it's always humbling and always I don't know how to put the words, but it's always a huge blessing. I feel blessed when somebody says that. Especially when I hear somebody on a healing journey, because that's a beautiful journey. It's a hard journey. To give birth to yourself is really hard. It's not easy. But once you come through it, it's a beautiful, and I tell you, it's a beautiful journey. And I'm just happy for you.
They say the most growth is attained when you're uncomfortable.
Ooh, isn't it? Ooh, Lord. Being uncomfortable. Ooh, that's not fun. It's like you shedding your skin, and it's not a fun feeling. You shedding all of the trauma off of you, slowly, and it's not an easy feeling. It's not, sweetie. It's not. Let me try to put these glasses on because I'm squinting. Am I supposed to be looking this way? Because I'm so confused. Am I just talking?
Yes, you talking. You just talking to us. And
okay, I thought I was gonna see y'all. I thought I was gonna see y'all.
Oh, you can't see
us? You can see now.
No, I can't. I was looking like, what? I can't see y'all. Do I have to do something here?
No, you don't have to do anything but just talk. So in the next few minutes, we're going to actually do a little transition.
Okay.
We're going to watch a 4-minute video. Did you get a chance to take your ACE quiz?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, so you got your ACE score, but we're going to show a short video for anyone who's watching that does not know a lot about ACEs. And I want you to pay attention to this video, because then we're going to have a little conversation about it. Okay. And just think about your ACE score and this video as we watch it.
Okay.
The reality is that we all need a certain amount of stress, a certain amount of anxiety to perform well. If we don't care about that exam that we're going to have tomorrow, we'll probably fail. If we're going to cross the street and a truck is coming at us, we have release of adrenaline. We have release of a hormone that we call cortisol. We want to jump out of there, and adrenaline and cortisol are going to help us do that. So there's that good amount of stress. But if all day long you're feeling like a truck is coming at you, day after day after day, that's going to take a toll on the body. And the amygdala obviously here is has greater activation in the PTSD. We were able to image children that had experienced trauma and compare those brain images with children that didn't have an experience of trauma, didn't have symptoms.
Right, an exaggerated fear response.
An exaggerated fear response with decreased activation in areas that we need to control that emotion, in the frontal areas.
Exposure to early adversity and trauma literally affects the structure and function of children's developing brains. So the kid next to them hits them, or the teacher reprimands them in a way that they're uncomfortable with, right? Literally what they're feeling, that activation is like there was a truck coming at them. You can give something that will mask symptoms, right? For example, if someone has a cough, right, you can give them a really strong cough serum that will suppress their cough. But if it's because they have tuberculosis or lung cancer, then what you're doing is merely masking the symptoms while the disease process continues to fester. We know what's happening in children's brains and bodies with the experience of toxic stress. So the question now is, what do we do about it?
Put a finger down, adverse childhood experiences edition. Put a finger down if any of these have happened to you under the age of 18. Put a finger down if you've ever been sweared at, insulted, or humiliated by a parent. Put a finger down if you've ever been physically injured by a parent. Put a finger down if you were sexually assaulted as a child. Put a finger down if you feel like you weren't emotionally supported and loved by your family. Put a finger down if you feel like your basic needs were neglected, or you feel like your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you. Put a finger down if you lost a parent to divorce or abandonment. Put a finger down if you witnessed a parent being physically abused at least twice. Put a finger down if you were raised by an addict. Put a finger down if your parent had severe mental illness. And lastly, put a finger down if a family member went to prison. Did you know the more fingers you just put down, the higher risk you are for health issues later on in life? Health issues such as these.
All right, start here. What did we hear that either resonated with us or surprised us the most? Let's start with our guests. Princess, what resonated with you the most? Like, oh my goodness, I felt that, I did that, I know about that. Or you were surprised, like, I can't believe that.
Well, I was trying to say, my video was choppy. I couldn't even, it was so choppy, I couldn't.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was trying to let y'all know, that's why I was hitting you on the inbox. It's probably my phone.
Okay.
Mine was too.
Okay. It could be anything. They were talking about how we know that a child's brain development is changed by adverse childhood experiences, where the part of their brain that controls fight or flight is enlarged. Flight, fright, or freeze are enlarged when at an early age they're having these experiences. Thank you, Cindy. So it has these lasting impacts, causing obesity and diabetes and different health risks that are like the top 5 killers. And also it affects how they work on jobs. It affects their relationships and how they deal with people in relationships, because sometimes somebody can be coming at you in a way that triggers that response in you where it's inappropriate. And that's what that video was talking about.
Well, I feel like everything in the video, if that was it, then that was, I think that's when you deal with trauma. That's just a part of it. Everything, like, it affects you completely as a child. First of all, you have no fight when you're a child. Basically, you have no win I mean, there's fight or flight, but no matter what you do, you're still in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like everything that the video said is like that's somebody who goes through trauma, that kind of childhood trauma. Every single thing. Now, maybe some things, maybe some people don't get obese, like some things, but most of those are probably people have those when they go through traumas as a child and then going into an adult. So yeah.
I feel like you can see a lot of that, like depending on your different socioeconomic status, like you can tell that if you're going through traumas, then it's going to hinder you once you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like some people that come from those traumas, they have a hard time functioning in society in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? To be healthy workers, you know what I'm saying? And live productive lives.
You know, I want to add one thing. I feel like sometimes you can mask those traumas, and some people I feel like some people go the other way and they go excelling in their life to cover those traumas. They keep by excelling. Some people excel to cover the traumas, and they keep going and keep going and keep going to not have to sit still and deal with that trauma. So I feel like it goes both ways. I feel like it really maybe sometimes it has to do with a person's economical status, like you said, or whatever. But I feel like it can go either or.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of times it goes on decline, but I feel like sometimes you go into a status where you don't have to stop, you don't have to think, you don't have to do anything, just keep excelling. You know what I'm saying? So.
And to piggyback off that, sometimes that can be hindering because the more you accomplish and the more success you get, the more people expect and the more you are completely locked in to that deception. You can't tell anybody what's going on. You can't tell anybody the thoughts in your head. You can't tell anybody that you are not okay because you're strong. You always been strong.
Yeah.
You know,
do you feel like you experienced that?
I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking, do you feel like you experienced that?
Yeah, I feel like I moved a lot of ways to mask a lot of things, to not have to deal with, I wasn't the type to excel, but I did a lot of other stuff to avoid having to stand still and deal with my trauma and face my demons. Because I feel like those demons are really, at that point, they're terrifying. It's horrifying to face those demons and know that some things happen to you. You know, it's really horrifying. But I feel like when you finally face them, they're scary, but you're able to, some of us, not all of us, some of us are slowly able to overcome those demons. You know, not all of us. Some people are just, they can't. And it makes me so sad to think of that. They can't hack it. They just can't do it. And they just go into completely decline. So yeah. So I agree with the video 110%.
That's kind of like why we're here. Princess, do you remember how we met? Can you tell the audience a little bit about how I found you or how I met you?
My memory is not too good now. You gonna put me on?
Right. I remember.
You probably remember. Wasn't it in Instagram?
Yes.
How dare you, woman?
Yes.
But yeah, Instagram.
I hopped in the DMs on Instagram because that's who I am. I found her on YouTube, and the very first video, should stay here, you. The very first song I heard, she's singing a cappella. She is literally doing me. She's me. And I was captivated. I listened to the song over and over and over the first time that I heard it. And when I found her on Instagram, I'm one of those people that doubt everything. And I was like, if this ain't her, then I'm about to blow it up. You is not gonna be impersonating my girl. Boom on you. So I had this jump in the inbox, and then I asked her for her number because I'm bold, and all she could say is no. But she was as real as I imagined she was, and she kicked me the number, and I was able to have a conversation with her, and she encouraged me to sing. Who knew that I needed encouragement to sing, because I sing all the time anyway.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Oh yeah. Yeah, you better get your butt out there and sing, honey. Sing. You can sing, do it.
She said, I don't care how old you are, girl, put your music out there and sing. And
I remember now. I remember now. I was good to see you and know you doing that.
Yes,
that's really
so that
good.
was me
that's
on the
blessing.
phone.
That's good.
And you had like an hour-long conversation with me like it wasn't nothing. We was just sister friends on that phone for like an hour. And
how things go full circle, huh?
Yes, and it just went from
it's
there.
Good. It's good to see you, girl. To know that you good. You good. That is so good. I love that, man. That's dope. That's dope, man.
Right.
You are a powerful influencer without the money and the jazz.
Yeah.
And that was why I needed Cindy to get you up here, because I wanted to toot your horn, because I know that I don't believe that you will ever be a person to toot your own horn, but people are missing out. So I want to hop into it. I stalk your Instagram. Of course, I rarely go to my social media. I have all the notifications turned off, but I'll go, and it's certain pages I'll hop on. His is one of them, because I gotta know what my son is doing all the way on the East Coast, and I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Of course.
And I hop on yours, make sure you all right. What is you doing? Is it some new music I need to be listening to? And so I've seen that you're on this healing journey of self-care. Where did that come from? And what has that process been like for you?
Oh, wow. It was, oh God, it was such a place to be in, because I suffer with depression, but I haven't been going that way for so long. But in that midst of it, in that midst of the depression and being lonely and dealing with these demons that I hadn't really dealt with, I faked it for a long time that I'm fine. It's okay to not be okay though. And I had to realize that it's okay to be vulnerable, because as a child, I wasn't taught that vulnerability may get you knocked across the floor. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. So I learned to keep it all in and keep it together. And one sign of tear, anything, I feel so broken when I show that part of me. Like, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like this, I feel so stupid, and coming from that process was painful. It took a couple, I'm okay, but I'm really not. I made the journey. I made it through this journey, but I really didn't. But I want the world to know, because, I want people to feel like I did, because I need to be validated through social media. I had to realize that too, and so it was just a painful journey. It's self-realization, self-awareness. It's a blessing. It's a curse, and and know that your trauma is a part of you forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to let it consume you, but it happened to you forever. You know what I'm saying? You just have to learn to manage it. So it was a long journey of working. And I finally one day I was sitting in my bed and I said, I'm having a good time. And I had to think for a second. It's not because I'm in the company of a man. It's not because I'm in the company of somebody else and I need them to make me happy. I realized at that moment, like, what? I'm in a healthy relationship with myself for once in my life, and I haven't ever been that. I mean, it was always unhealthy. I faked it for a long time. But when you really sit still and have to go and say, I'm broken, man. I did some things. I allowed some people to do stuff to me because I'm broken, because I hadn't dealt with that trauma. But honey, when I said, wait a minute. Oh, when I'm by myself, I'm beautiful. Do you hear me? Not saying, the thing is, people need to realize you don't need somebody. You need air to breathe. You don't need somebody to your life. You may want them to share. You already happy. Share this happiness with me. Add a little bit of yours, but if you leave, I'm okay. I had a lot of latching on to people, and that was my problem. And I wanted to be understanding more than I wanted to be respected, and that was another problem. And I realized all that stemmed from my childhood trauma. I talk a lot, y'all. I'm sorry. When I get into the gist of it, I get into it, honey. But it took a lot of I had to really say, listen, it's time to face this. It's time to stop playing. It's time to stop faking your way through life. Because, honey, one thing I'm gonna tell you, peaceful was foreign is I don't know what to me. Chaos, oh, I know that. I could ride in it, and I had to be uncomfortable and realize that each level in life, you know that you may be comfortable in this position, but remember, you was always uncomfortable till you got to that position. So you're gonna have to go through this phase of being very uncomfortable, get to a new level of comfort. And a lot of us don't want to do that. We want to sit in that familiar BS. And that was the problem. I kept going in the cycle. Keep going to the park, seeing this ride, getting on it, and make me sick. I throw it when I get off. Go back to the park, there, and get on it again. That was my problem. But it took a lot of pushing and rocking and shaking and crying and pleading and on the floor and the ball. But I'm beautiful now. I'm here, baby. I am wonderful now.
Baby, it's like you are literally telling my story. You are telling his story.
Like,
you know, I watched a little bit. I watched a video of you guys talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to let y'all know that. So I know what you're saying, honey. Speak your speak, honey.
I mean, because it is what you do. What the counselors said to me that impressed me the most, she said, when you're on a merry-go-round, you can't get off unless it stops. So you cannot heal yourself from abuse while you're in the abuse. You have to get out of the abuse in order to see it for what it is.
Yep. Yes, Lord. You do.
And there was a statistic that she just put up there. If we can prevent these ACEs, we can reduce depression in adults by 44%. You talk about 21 million less people with depression. If we can get the information out there so that we stop it, we prevent it in these babies. This is what we want for his babies that he haven't had yet. And your nieces, are those your nieces and nephews? I saw the page, I've been seeing the babies.
Oh, yeah.
Your nieces and nephews, your babies that you're taking care of. We can stop it in its track.
Yes, Lord.
And that's what we're trying to do here. I have a quote for you, and I'm quoting you. So I hope you remember saying this. What you see is what you get. Anything I do in my life, I go at it wholeheartedly. I'm open about everything. I don't feel I overshared when I made the film. I purged my soul. You do that, and it can help other people who are going through the same thing. I think it's a good thing. I learned to forgive my mother. It was a long road with rocks and nails, but I forgive her. I don't want to live like that. She's my mother, and you only get one. I tell her I love her, but I also tell her what she did and what happened. If you don't speak it out, some folks think it doesn't exist, but it does, and you have to face your demons. In your documentary, it was your mom that you called when you got that 1 million hit on that video. I try to figure out how many times can I go to this video? Why they not counting when I go to my video 50 million times? Why I don't count, right? But that was the first person you called.
Lord.
That was the first person you called. What do you want people to know about your relationship with your mom? And what was that journey to forgiveness like?
Oh, wow. Well, what a journey. And see, I couldn't really forgive her until I basically faced my demons. You know, I had to forgive myself too, because a lot of times the shit wasn't your fault, but you take blame. Did I like it? I could have did this.
Yes.
I could have did that. I could have did this, but I let him do it. And you have to forgive yourself first and say, no, I couldn't have done anything. I did what I could do. I was a child. It wasn't my fault. That's the first thing. The first thing, and I want to say something very important before I go back to that. When a child opens up and tells you something like that happened to them, and you shun them and tell them you don't believe them, you have just crushed that child's whole existence. They shut down. So that's all I want to say about that, because I told at one point. So I'm sorry, I digressed. I told at one point,
Child,
and it didn't.
caveat of what you were just saying, the
Mm-hmm.
child looks to the adult as the protector. So like
Mm-hmm.
once you shun your child or tell them you don't or take away, you know, their the power from their words, the child will no longer take their emotions into account. They'll start to disregard them.
Exactly. Yep. They don't mean anything. Like, I'm by myself. And that's the worst feeling in the world. Ooh, that's the worst feeling in the world. You feel alone and you feel like you have to go into this pit, this lion pit, every single day, more than once a day, more than 5 times a day, and there's nothing you can do to stop it because you tried. That's the worst feeling in life. And people need to understand it. You have no idea how crushing that feeling is, how crushing it is. It's such like somebody sucked the air out of your body, out of your lungs, and there's nothing you can do. And you keep going and doing the same thing. Now back to my mother. One day my mother said something to me and I just lost it. For all the years that happened, my mother knew, she knew. She allowed it. Okay. One day my mother said, we were saying something and she looked at me and said, "I'm your mother." And I lost it. I lost it. I didn't curse her, I didn't disrespect her, but I lost it. And I said, "You my mother?" I had lost it, just clicked. "You my mother? So you let all this stuff happen to me, but you're gonna sit in my face at this age now that I had to struggle and crawl, and I'm still struggling through the mud in a lion pit to breathe. You're gonna tell me you my mother? I'm here because of you. I'm here because of you, and you're gonna tell me you my mother?" I lost it. And it took me to forgive myself, to forgive her. Eventually, I just realized at this point, my mother's 73. She just made 73. My mother has always been present, but not there when it comes to the apology. And so I just had to finally just say, listen, it is what it is. She it's probably not, I don't know if it's easy for her, not making excuses, but not making excuses at all. But to know you allowed that when you finally come into, some people never come into a realization. You have to realize that some others never come into the realization that I did that, and that's really messed up. Some of them just play along with it. But I feel like my mother, to know she did that, it's not easy for her to look back now and know she did that. So I feel like she's present but not there. So I just I had to forgive. I had to forgive her. It was holding so much weight on my heart to forgive her. But my abusers, I don't forgive them. Are we frozen?
No.
You're not
frozen. My screen frozen.
We can hear you.
I can still hear y'all.
We can hear you. So somehow we're frozen on her end.
Mm-hmm. My phone's shoddy.
And my internet is suspicious.
Mine is too.
This is very suspicious and disrespectful, kind of like a police officer. It's suspicious and disrespectful. Let's get into relationships. How do you think relationships were affected by those early childhood experiences? Even like if you go back to going to school, were you getting into fights, or were you able to let people in and have genuine relationships?
No, like that made me, I was so angry. I mean, I was an angry person. And some people, they turn promiscuous. Not all, some do, and some go another way. I went to the anger where I wanted to make everybody feel as much pain as I felt in this world. Like I was just not a very nice person. I internalized all my pain. It came out in rage, and I would rage out on people, like rage. And my attitude was so bad. Like, what? Like you said, the slightest thing to me, I go from 0 to 1,000. Like it really had me completely in this cycle of just being. It takes so much energy to be that angry, and it just consumed me. I just was so angry. When I tell you, rage, and I do not like that person. That person right there, I do not like her, because I would flash out. I mean, I try to hurt you for real, like for real, like, and that it just. Ooh, I'm thankful that I'm at a peaceful place right now. Because, honey, I think of her, and she was just exhausting. She was so hurt and so angry. I didn't let nobody get close. I didn't trust nobody. And I played like I was the strong person, but I was so weak and broken inside, you know, so weak and broken inside. And I had to face that too. You know, when you've been told all your life you don't cry, you take this, you don't show that, you stupid, you weak, you know what I'm saying? If you do that, then when you finally have to show that part of you and accept that part of you, it's like you fighting tooth and nail. Like, get out of here. I don't want that part nowhere near me. That's not who I am. That's not what's supposed to happen. Like, what is this? And that's a hard part, honey. Fighting this girl there. She fights to the death, honey.
I'm telling you.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Q.
Now I really identify everything you've been saying, like from you know, the sexual trauma at a young age all the way down to like going through that journey and having to come to the point where you realize like how to forgive people. You gotta like it's just like Jesus said, like, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Mm-hmm. And you like, I started to look at people. That's what got me into psychology, because I started to look at why people hurt me when I felt like, you know, they were supposed to be there to protect me. They were supposed to be the people, you know. So like I had to start going into like the past and just trying to understand their stories. And it kind of got me to a point where it was just like, you know, like, it was done is done. What can I take from the experience and move forward as like for a positive? And I actually been going around like the message I've been saying recently is looking at the glass as half full. If you look at the glass as half full, then you take those rough experiences and then you learn the lesson from them, as opposed to, you know, like you were saying earlier, going down, you know what I'm saying, on the decline.
What was super significant? Go ahead, Princess.
I'm sorry, but that right there, to do that takes a really strong person. You have to be strong to do that. Like to go that lane and try to understand certain things, it takes a very strong, I feel like you're a strong person. I just want to tell you that. I feel like that's very strong to do that. A lot of people can't. They can't. It's like they get there and they buckle. It's because it's not an easy thing to do. For you to do that, you're a strong man. You keep going, baby. You're a strong man to do that, sweetie. I'm telling you that. That's a strong person.
I appreciate it.
That's all I want to say.
Thank Coach Erica Love. She said it's an excellent show. What's super significant about what you just said, when we talked about your previous relationships, like when you were in school, is that as a facilitator of learning, that's also known as a teacher. I'm a high school teacher, but I call it a facilitator of learning.
Really?
That's a whole nother story. Yes, I teach ninth grade English.
It sure is, sweetie.
And so when I see a student like you, that's why educators need to know about ACEs. That's why educators need to not only know their own ACE scores, but they need to know about ACEs and what it looks like when this is being manifested. Because if I had a student like you, I would be doing, I mean, you can push me away all you want. When you push me away, that tells me that something's going on.
I synced it.
Okay. He's seeing action. Like, so my mindset is, if those teachers had known about ACEs, if those teachers had known the manifestation of ACEs, I would have answered questions, because I asked my students straight out, did somebody touch you? You've been watching porn. What is going on? Because you be talking about stuff that you don't have no business even knowing about. So I am very open and honest and talkative with my students, and they in turn talk to me where they don't talk to their parents. And so that would have been an opportunity. Somebody should have pulled up and said, well, why is Samantha so?
Well, you know what? I want to tell you something. I didn't start getting at the rage until I hit like almost like 18. 18 on. That's when I started raging. It wasn't in high school. I was real quiet until myself. I went into this. Usually I shut down, and I kind of shut down and just did what I wanted to do. I didn't even graduate high school. I was just roaming through the halls and just I didn't even have no initiative to do anything. Like,
but why?
But when I started getting older.
But Princess, why didn't you have the initiative to do anything? We
I never
strong, bright minds. We have these bright, inquisitive awesome minds. We are God's masterpiece. So I know the brain in your head. I know the music that you write. But why were you so disconnected and inside yourself and quiet and aimless and non-motivated? Do you know why?
Yeah. If you told you dumb since you were younger, and you never was given no motivation, like you never saw motivation, you saw people do exactly what you're doing, you follow suit. If I had somebody else to look at like that without looking down on me, it would make, I would have been more. But my mother, I always wanted to be pushed. I wanted her to push me and tell me, you're not doing this because you didn't get good grades. She wasn't that type. Mother was like, oh, that's fine. You can come with all F's. She'd say, oh, that's fine. You can try next time. Like, it wasn't no drive. Like, I wanted that. Like, when I was younger, I used to when I see the kids like had a report card and like don't want their parents to see, I used to play like I had to have mine too. But even though I didn't, I used to play like I was gonna get in trouble if I didn't get good grades. But when I get home, it wasn't that. It was my mother was an alcoholic, so she was just always running around and doing her thing. She never was a mother. You know, you were allowed to do whatever you wanted. So I saw her drunk all the time. Like, I didn't see anybody who pushed me, who could make me do that. Like, so I just fell to the wayside. Like, just whatever.
So what I hear is that your mother had some unresolved aces, and that in turn allowed you to accumulate unresolved aces, because being told that you're dumb or that you're stupid and that's neglect, and that's psychological verbal abuse. Because those expectations is what made me. My mother would always tell me, oh, my baby about to get straight A's this quarter. I'd be looking like, oh, I guess that's what I'm going to do. Because you like in the 4th grade, like, oh, okay, that's what we doing. Every year, that's what we doing. So it was just kind of, the expectation was this. And you just fulfilled that prophecy. Whatever was being said is what got fulfilled. So in spite of your aces, there is hope if you have that one person who is pouring into you. But if you're doing nothing but being emptied out, then you end up having to deal with it yourself when you're 30 and 35 and 40, and you looking back, and there's so many places where you didn't accomplish. But let's talk about what you did accomplish. So all of this is going on. Your life is happening to you, and you're surviving. And then this dude in Israel sees your video and throughs and adds and subtracts and whatever he did. How did that affect the whole situation?
Well, at that point, I was going through my depression. I was lost in translation. I would just float. I was just on autopilot. Usually, sometimes when I get depressed, I just go about my day. It's no really emotion involved. It's just me doing whatever. And he reached out to me on Facebook. His wife did. She reached out to me, and I was like, okay. He said he wants to speak to me about a documentary, and I'm like, okay. So then I finally hit him up, and I just thought, people. People say stuff all the time, like, hey, I'm from, New York. I'm coming. I would like to, I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm just pretty open with stuff. Like, okay. And why not? I feel like my life it was what it was. So like, it couldn't get no worse than that. Right. So I'm like, okay. So then he actually came down from Israel. That's what was really shocking to me. Like, and I was just sitting at home, just like, it was, to me, I was crying. I'm a crybaby sometimes. I was just crying, like, he came down here from Israel, like, all the way from Israel to come see me. Like, I'm nobody. Like, I told him my life is pretty boring. Like, I don't do, like, it's nothing. Like, you feel like I'm just a normal chick. I really am just a normal chick living my life. He came down when I met Ido. Let me tell you about them. It's Ido, Boz, Liron. When I tell you, and Cootie. Let me finish telling the story, then I'm gonna tell you that. But anyway, he came down. I met him in this hotel lobby, and when I walked in, I see him. He said, "Princess." He said, had this warm, authentic, just energy floating off him, like he was just who he was. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't him trying. He was just sitting there like princess. Like, and when I met him though, I was like, this is the person I'm gonna like. I had a chance to tell my story when I went on The Voice and all that. I was just like, it's gonna be like they're really gonna be like just trying to get ratings for the show, and I didn't want to do that, so I didn't tell my story. Then when I saw it do, I just felt like, it said, this is who you're gonna tell your story to. If I'm gonna tell it completely. And then he went back to Israel. He came back and he started filming me. And I was joking, man. He was so sweet. It was just him and his camera. He was filming me everywhere I went, just filming me all over. He was so sweet though. Like, it wasn't like, you meet somebody and it's like, yeah, they couldn't. They're just them. Like, they just chill. And then he was like, oh, it was like, oh, this is a documentary about YouTube. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna go sit on YouTube. And he like, okay, he had other musicians, because there was other musicians on the album. And he kept going to them, but then eventually he started coming to me and everybody just got pushed out the way. And he was like, the reason why he wanted to record me because, what did he say? He said it was something about me, like I just was open, like just open talking about it. It wasn't nothing I wanted to hide. Everything was put out there, and it was a beautiful experience. And then when I went to Israel, that's when I found out that the documentary was just me and Cootie. And I said, I walked in his door and I seen him post on the wall, and I said, I started laughing at it. But yeah, it was so dope. But yeah, y'all. But when I met them, that was the first time I met positive male role models who only wanted to do good by me and didn't want to harm me. And that was when I first felt platonic love for somebody. I never really knew what that was or how to love or whatever. So I felt platonic love, like they loved me. They really love me and they make sure I'm good. And I just love them for that, man. Shout out to them, man. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. They know I love them with that.
Hearing that
is
when I was watching the documentary and I saw that it was even in Israel. Like, I, being from the faith that I'm from, have feel like I have some type of connection to Israel. So it was like, I thought your whole situation, your whole story was a miracle. And then the fact that it was somebody from Israel, and then it was so the music that you make is just good for the soul. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's about a vibe. It's about just expressing yourself. It's real music. So it was seeing that, and that's what I'm saying. I connect to your story so much. Seeing it, I feel like I'm going into that period. But I feel like last year, 2020 was the hardest year of my life. That was when I fought away. I had to come face to face with the things that were causing me the depression, anxiety. I had to deal with all those things. And now I'm 27. Now I'm in a place where I feel like I got the answers up here. Now it's just about application. So my mom mentioned earlier, I'm in the service. I may not be there for much longer. So if I end up leaving, I do music as well. So I'm thinking I might be able to go ahead and direct that energy, you know what I'm saying? Direct all my energy into that. So me leaving the service would be a blessing in disguise, because it's not gonna be me leaving by choice. You know what I'm saying? So it was just seeing your story just kind of made me just gave me a template, you know what I'm saying, something to look to, some strength, you know what I'm saying? Because I really feel I'm really happy for you. I feel like your story is a miracle with you know what? I'm inspired, and
don't make me cry. I'm about to. I cry too much, but I won't cry, but I'm going to.
But I mean, on that note, I wanna let everybody go to visit acesmatter.org. I think we're about to cut to a break real quick. You can make a $5 monthly donation, or just get your ACE score from acesmatter.org, guys. So we're gonna cut to a break real quick, guys.
All right.
If you have a birthday coming up, or maybe you just like to do something for the greater good, please consider starting a personal fundraiser on Facebook and selecting ACEs Matter as your cause. Need a reason? Well, we have 3 just for you. ACEs Matter helps families in need cover the cost of mental health services. ACEs Matter hires local contractors and even stay-at-home parents who need flexible work schedules. We care about humanity, and ACEs Matter provides free training and education to those who've been affected by childhood trauma. It's easy to set up a donation campaign from your Facebook account. From your phone or internet browser, type or search www.facebook.com/fundraisers. Select nonprofit, search for ACEs Matter, type in how much money you'd like to raise, choose an end date, give your fundraiser a catchy title, edit the default description if you'd like, then click Create. Congratulations. Now you can invite your friends, share on your timeline, and raise money for a great cause. For every ACE story told, an ACE can be prevented. 2 heartbeats from our house to yours.
ACEs Matter is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. EIN 85-124-6674.
I didn't get to say before, but to piggyback on what Shaquille was saying, I saw God working in your life. I didn't know what your faith was, but I heard you saying I was in the midst of this depression, and God used Cootie to step in that very moment and show you that there were people who loved and cared about you. You, a human being. You thought, I'm nobody. Nobody's paying no attention to me. But you are somebody. And thousands and maybe millions of people were touched by you through your music. And then we put that everybody needs to see that documentary. Everybody needs to see it, because the joy that you give to the people that you serve in that home, that you were serving in that home, and how you sing, and you don't even know who is hearing your voice and being touched by your voice. That's why now I walk around on a microphone and speaker everywhere I go, because I don't know who might need to hear me. They in their house with the window open. They might need to hear it, and they can't hear me when I'm walking down the street. So you are somebody to a lot of people, But we are running out of time. I told Cindy, I was like, girl, I might have to do a series. I might have to do a 4-part series. We might have to bring her on back up here, because her story is too in depth. It's nowhere all an hour. But what is Princess Shaw doing now?
Well, y'all, I have an album coming early 2022. I'll be doing some visuals. Yeah, but the music's coming. I got the music coming. I got some videos coming. I'm signed with the independent label, United Media. Wait, let me get that in. They're gonna kill me. United Media. I just had it. Don't kill me, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm attacking.
Like I said, if we can do a series and I pull you back on up here, because I wanted some of this. Yes, ACEs Matter, but I wanted some of it to really be people finding out about who you are musically. So I would definitely want to see you again, but knowing that you about to come out with music is a bomb to my. When I hear a new song on her Instagram, the lyrics immediately, like, she is talking for me. She is speaking for me. And I immediately tune in and go to YouTube Music, like, where is her music?
It's coming. But before you go, I want to give you a gift. Hello?
Is you about to sing?
Yeah. I'm singing a song. You ready?
Yes.
You should have stayed still. Yeah. You should have stayed still in love. Love. ooh. And you could have stayed here. Yeah, yeah, you could have stayed here in love. Ooh, love. Ooh. Only one verse. I thought you were together, what a big fancy man. But you act like a boy and you make me so mad. Whoa. There you go, sugar. That's for you. And I'm froze again. My phone is shoddy, y'all. But
Well,
thank y'all for having me. I had a great talk.
Thank you. We heard you loud and clear. It sounded beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. I was lip syncing the words with you. I kept my peace. I did not sing with you on your own song.
That's okay.
Oh,
y'all, check out the 2 songs I did with Cootie Mintu. Lifted, it should be on YouTube, and it's called Say Something. Lifted and Say Something. Y'all can check it out on music. Just go to YouTube and put Princess Shaw in, or Google me, Princess Shaw.
Girl, I already got them on my playlist on YouTube. Girl,
well, that's dope, man.
I be checking for it. Like every couple of months. I'm checking something new up here so that I can listen to my girl. That's the only way I can get it. So
it's coming, girlie.
Love it, love it. Like I said, hopefully, because I have probably 10 more questions.
Okay.
But I just love the flow of having a conversation and like letting my guests get it out, because what people often don't understand about trauma is that the first step to healing is to speak. Do not stay silent. And what you'll find is you'll be like, oh, why is she always talking about that? Because for so long you stay silent. For whatever, all the different reasons you stay silent, and you cannot heal as long as you stay silent. So when you start talking and you feel that burden lifting off of you, you can't stop.
You sure can't. It's a beautiful feeling. Scary, painful, but beautiful.
Nah, for sure.
So I think that our time might be up. It is 8 o'clock. I want to honor everybody's time. It's 8 o'clock where I am. It's 9 o'clock where he is. Princess, where are you?
Huh?
Where are you?
You mean it's on the screen?
No, where are you, like in the country?
No, Louisiana.
Okay, so it's what, 8 o'clock? It's 9 o'clock.
It's right at 9 o'clock. Hey, this is a ghost
it's
coming
8 o'clock here.
Get that question in. I want to know what Princess Shaw has to say about what she plans to do with this new information you learned about ACEs. And then how can we know?
She said, so the question is, what do you plan to do with just the little bit of information that you've gotten so far about ACEs, and how can we help?
I think just spreading the word and let people know. Like just word of mouth, talking about it, speaking about it, letting people understand it, what it means, you know, breaking it down for people. I could post and talk about it too, because I think it's really informative and it helps people out a lot. You know, some people are afraid to talk about certain things. And it's okay to talk about it. And this is very informative, ACEs. So I really think it's a lot of people with trauma. I think this is a beautiful thing to talk about. I think you guys are dope for putting it together and bringing it out like this. Because, you know, sometimes within our community, it's shunned. A lot of things are shunned. So I feel like it's a beautiful way to talk about it.
I heard that.
Sound like a reacher to me. All right, Princess, thank you so much. You are a dream come true. You are a dream come true. Thank you to our audience. I saw many people putting comments, but I didn't see them. Thank you so much for supporting acesmatter.org. Like my son said earlier, you can make donations at acesmatter.org. You can make donations through Facebook and just support the cause of getting the information out there. And once we get the information out there, helping those who reach out and say they need help with mental health services, with education, and even becoming readers themselves, because most of us are lived experience survivors. And we have a very powerful message. They monetize our trauma constantly and they are getting rich off of our trauma, we can stop that. We can take back our stories.
There's a zip code near you that could use some healing, and we think you've got what it takes to become a zip code hero. Join the ACEs Matter Zip Code Hero campaign and use your gifts to help raise a family out of poverty, mental illness, and even despair. ACEs Matter wants to end multi-generational cycles of childhood trauma, and we need people like you who are willing to take one for the team. What's in it for you? Glad you asked. First of all, you'd help create a healthier humanity, and who wouldn't want their name associated with that? Secondary benefits include the joy of helping a family that wouldn't otherwise have access to you. And we can't forget to mention that we would have cross promotions for your product or service, brand endorsement, viral customer testimonies, and special acknowledgments on all the ACEs Matter social platforms. Yesterday, a family could have used your gifts. Today, we can make the call. Let's be real. We need to heal. Apply today to become a zip code hero, and let's heal humanity together, one zip code at a time. Visit us at acesmatter.org to learn more.